In the fast-paced world of business, finding a clear path to profitability can be a challenge. Welcome to 0 to 100 with your host, Jared Guy Randolph, seasoned business and finance expert. Tune in for actionable insights and strategies to accelerate your business success.
Hello, Accelerators. Today on 0 to 100, I have something really special for you. It is our guest, Shane Walker, who is the co-founder and CEO of Qube. They are a revolutionary personal budgeting platform that does something really interesting. They help you budget beforehand with cash envelopes instead of just reviewing your expenses after you've spent the money. The topics we will cover will be cash envelope budgeting, finance in the digital age, and why so many people struggle with cash management with all the information that we have out there. Why does it happen? We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about the solutions. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jared Guy Randolph. I am the founder of BoxFi. We are the nation's leading payment consultant, helping you with business growth solutions through payment processing. And I am very excited to share the network that I have built over my 25-year entrepreneurial journey to help you grow your business and become more profitable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's accelerate together. Shane, it is great to have you on 0 to 100. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jared. It's an honor to be here.
So for our audience, we're going to have a unique conversation. As we're always focusing on business growth and increasing profits, we're actually going to shift a little bit and talk about how we help you as business owners and entrepreneurs manage your personal finances. And I'm going to have Shane walk us through his origin story around his company Qube, what it actually does, and how it can really help you take your personal finance management to the next level, which is very important. We know as business owners, sometimes it's very difficult to divide your business finances and your personal finances, but we need to budget and we need to learn to do that. And I believe that Mr. Walker has the answer. So Shane, give us a little background on Qube. What are your origin stories and how did your product evolve to what it is today?
Absolutely. So Jared, Qube is simply a digital bank that uses the methodology of cash envelope budgeting as the way money works. And it's interesting because we all like budgeting, banking, and accounting are all the same numbers, but why are they so separate? Why isn't it one simple system? And I'm just telling you, we've created this for individuals, but the business side is coming because I deal with all the time. I've got my budget. I'm trying to spend based on that budget, but it's not connected. And so then I'm always having to reconcile like what's happened with my budget. And then we're recording that in our accounting system and none of them are connected. There's always different numbers. I'm like, why is this different? Right? Why isn't it one and simple? So that's what Qube is. It's simply a FDIC insured banking environment, banking app that allows you to organize your money as you see it in your mind and then spend directly from that organization. So you never have to track after the fact or reconcile after the fact. Okay.
Right.
And gives people awareness and control of their money. And the origin story of this is I have spent almost 20 years in the financial planning world. And my firm worked with thousands of people. And I saw over and over the stress that mismanagement of money causes in people's lives, in their marriages, in their individual lives. And it was super, honestly, I really cared about my clients. And it really hurt me to see them going through these things. For the longest time, I actually didn't think I would be the solution. I was just like, yeah, it's tough. We've gone from physical money to credit card. We've gone from in-person buying to online buying. And trying to keep track of money is super difficult, but it's just the world we live in. Like we can buy everything we want. I'm sitting in our bedroom, right? Because of where it is today. But I was referred in to a couple, my firm, that was super special. And they connected with us in a way that most clients don't. They were super fun. But as we got to know them, it became very apparent that he was the spender and she was the saver. And they made plenty of money. They made $250,000 plus a year, multiple business owner, but he would spend it faster than it would come in and had been for over a decade. And when they came to us, he finally was to the point where I've got to change or we're never going to reach our goals. And so it was this like huge moment of hope for this couple. Long story short, they were divorced in 10 months and we weren't able to help them. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. We sat down with a payment processing developer and we said, hey, is there any way we could take the methodology of cash envelopes and bring it to the 21st century? So it's easy, it's digital. You can spend from any of those categories with the convenience of one debit card. And so that's what we've done.
Wow. So let's talk about the financial struggle that a lot of people have managing their money. And it becomes more and more complicated as a business owner. Your business starts to grow and you're actually living off of some of the profit that you're earning off of that business. Why do people struggle so much with that financial management?
Well, I've struggled. Jared, I'm a small business owner. This has been a journey for me too. And actually, I'll tell you something that's really personal. So we, in our business journey, found ourselves with over 6 figures in credit card debt. Mm-hmm. And my wife is the saver. She's the planner as well and super frugal. I mean, she'd feel guilty buying a $25 gift for our son's birthday. And I was out chasing rewards. And actually about a few months after we were married, my wife's parents, dad, introduced us to the Southwest Rewards card and the Marriott Bonvoy card. And every year we would earn a free companion pass and 5 to 6 free round trip tickets and at least a week's worth of stay at Marriott. And it was like so awesome, free money, right? But the problem is it took us to chasing those rewards, took us to a place where we never wanted to be, where we were spending money that we didn't have. I mean, be honest. And we tried to budget. We would have those painful weekly meetings where we would come together, but it just takes a lot of time. And with children in the mix, we would fall behind and then we would quit and we'd restart over and over and over. And to be honest, tracking spending after it's already spent didn't work for us anyway. It was too late. The money was already gone. And so that's what I think is why it's so difficult today, Jared, is because all of our money is digital. Our bank account is like this black hole where money's coming to and from, and we just don't know where it's going. And all the budgeting tools are simply tracking tools that don't do a great job of automating where those transactions should go. So you have to consistently be in that budget, making sure that they're being categorized correctly and reconciling it to what your bank is saying. And we're just not good at that. I'm not good at it. Most people aren't good at it. So then they feel guilty for not keeping up on their budget and then they quit. And if they ever do get their budget up to date, it's too late. The money's already spent and they've already overspent. And so it's just this negative experience. And so ultimately, this whole thing of buy now, pay later isn't a good system for money. And if you think about it, who does that system help? And it's definitely not me, because it's like, hey, don't worry about your money, worry about it later. But the time to worry about the money is when you're making the decision about it to spend or not. And so that's what Qube does.
You know, let's peel back the onion if we're going to peel back the onion. And this is something you and I have discussed before, is that when I looked at budgeting at any point in my life, it's gotten much better over the last several years as I've actually done it properly. But it was always, for me, coming from a place of lack. Meaning if I had to budget, if I couldn't go buy what I wanted when I wanted, that I wasn't successful, that I didn't have enough money, that I was failing at what I was aspiring to do as a business person and a business leader and be financially free, that a budget was lacked to me. It wasn't until later on in my life that I realized that a budget is actually the ultimate freedom, because the truth is most of this crap that we're buying, and I want to emphasize crap is crap because we don't need it. You don't need more makeup. You don't need a 5th thing of deodorant. Smell good, but you don't need 5 of them. You don't need an extra blanket for your bed. We spend this money because we live in a consumer-based society. And it's when the big things happen and we have to go back to the credit cards, we have to take out a loan, we have to go to someone personally in our family and say, can you loan me money? That the real stress exists. So the freedom is being able to take care of those little things that happen and write the check versus having to borrow that money and put yourself more in debt. So budgeting, I always, up until several years ago, really struggled with it because it brought back bad childhood memories of negative relationships around money and lack and not being able to make ends meet.
That's so true. It feels restrictive. That's what you're saying.
Right.
And that's interesting. It's people, a lot of people feel that way about it. When in actuality, if you think about it, if you have this dream vacation planned, you want to make every moment count. And you want to realize that everything that this place that you're so excited to go to has to offer. And so what do? You put together a plan. And actually, Jared, that plan is super fun to make because you're like, oh yeah, we could do this and this and this, right? And it's super fun. Likewise, money is the same way. It's actually super motivating to say, wow, this is my income. What could I do? What could this do for me and those I care about? And as you put together that plan, it actually becomes really exciting. The frustrating thing in the past is there was no way to execute that plan. It was just like you created the plan, you swipe and went, and then at the end you tried to figure out, oh, did we do it? Right? Where Qube allows you to literally take that plan, fund it with real money inside your bank because your bank and your budget are the exact same thing, and then watch that money do exactly what you planned it to do and enjoy those experiences that you had in your mind, right? And that creates a very positive, motivating experience with money instead of this nagging, negative experience because you don't know where it's going. You're kind of living.
So what's interesting that you're saying, and I want to reiterate this for the audience, is that budgeting only works if you do it prior to spending your money.
Amen.
Budgeting is not a reconciliation of your bank account. Where did I spend it? Budgeting is where am I going to spend it, putting it in those envelopes and then spending from there. And it just, when you're saying this now, and I'm thinking of all the conversations that I've had around finance, we've never as a society been taught that.
There's never been a tool that's enabled that in our digital world. Like cash envelope budgeting, if you think about it, you're divvying up your money. This money is for entertainment. This is for groceries. And you could do it because there was physical money. But as we've transitioned away from physical money, there's no way to do it. So consequently, I guess the finance world has said, well, budgeting is about tracking, not about spending. But that's not true. Budgeting is about spending money according to what you want, your plan, not about tracking. And so anyways, Qube Money has totally brought this back to the essence of what budgeting is all about. And it's super exciting. When people engage with our product, they're like, I cannot believe how fun this is. I can't believe how I have control and I feel confident and I feel positive about my money for the first time in my life. It's really cool.
What Qube is actually doing is flipping the banking industry's what they want the consumers to do completely on its butt. And I'm saying that because I watched a documentary.
You said it, I made it, but you're right.
I watched a documentary recently on Netflix, and they do these little 45-hour-long documents on money. Well, this one in particular was on credit cards. And someone who keeps a zero balance on their credit card is considered a bad account. I'm using the wrong language. There's a specific name within the industry, but they don't like your account. They don't like your account because you're not paying interest. Now, if you remember back in the day, American Express, you had to pay off your American Express every month. But that's okay because American Express is a bank. They're not a credit card company. They have credit cards, but they're number one a bank. They're a credit card separately, secondarily. So credit card companies want you to carry a balance. It's like with FICO. FICO is never going to tell you that the ideal ratio of credit usage that you should hold on your card is 1% to 3% to get the highest credit rating, which is going to give you the best cards, the best loans, the best rates. You will hear in the marketplace 20 to 30%. That's absolutely not true. But the credit card companies are fine with you thinking that that's the number because you're paying that 19 to 25% interest on that 20 to 30% that you have hanging out there. So even with the banks, I get a statement from my bank that this is how much you've spent this month, or this is where the money went, et cetera, et cetera. But it's never, okay, how are you going to allocate for the next month? You know that you have X number coming into the bank this month. How are you going to allocate for now, November 1st, for this month in your spending? Talk to me about how the cash envelope budgets work on your app, because I genuinely believe, and full disclosure, I've just signed up. I've just started using it. I don't have all my accounts connected. Got a lot of stuff going on. Can't do it all in one night. But it was fascinating when I went to go pump my gas a couple days ago, and I was like, okay, am I within my gas budget? And it totally was. But I never, ever, Shane, think about money that way. I just spend it. It's gas. I got to put gas in my car.
Yeah.
How does it work for the consumer?
Yeah. So how it works is we are like, the money within Qube is in an FDIC insured bank, just like any other bank. Okay. And our technology, when deposits come into Qube, they come into unallocated funds or an unallocated status. This is this holding place. It's like having a stack of $20 bills on your desk that you're getting ready to stuff into your envelopes. Okay. So the first step is to allocate that money into your plan. So I have a category for groceries. I have a category for entertainment. I have a category for family fun, for date night with my wife. I have my own free money. She has her own free money. We have our money for our pets, all these things. And actually last night, our money auto-allocated from the unallocated into each one of those categories. When I woke up this morning, I looked at my app and I was like, oh, great. We have $1,100 for our groceries this month. We have $200 for our date night this month. And it just totally, now all my money is here. Actually, I'll show you. It's organized exactly like I want it to be organized, so that now we have a plan to spend from, both my wife and I, so that I can't open it because I have it on airplane mode. But anyways, so that we know exactly what we want our money to do. And here's the crazy thing about that. So again, money is deposited just like any other bank. We're a digital bank, so we use Plaid to connect Qube to any of the other financial institution. And then you can actually set up auto allocation so that the money automatically allocates into your categories, or you can do that like with one push, allocate everything at once, or you can do it one by one, whatever you want to do. And then each time I go to spend, I actually have my primary debit card. And by design, this card has a zero available balance. There's no money on it. So if someone steals my number, the transaction gets declined because they would have to go into my app and I choose where I want to spend from before I swipe the card, because that's what creates the intention.
So,
yeah.
So I want to be very clear with this. With the app, I'm at the gas station. I have to press on the app that I'm getting ready to pump gas. Then it links the card with its own unique card number that I can swipe it and the gas is charged.
That's exactly right. So I actually took it off of airplane mode. Sorry if I get notifications.
All good.
But so there is our plan. If I'm buying groceries, I simply touch that grocery envelope and instantly the money is on the card. And so now when I did get a notification. You see that? But yeah. When I spend using that card, it just pulled away from there. But it comes from that category in real time, Jared. And so it literally, as soon as I spend, it closes the Qube, updates the balance, and returns the card to a zero available balance, ready for the next purchase. But it creates that look before you spend. And what happened to us, you won't believe it. After 1 month, we had several $1,000s in our account. Whereas before, we were just barely getting, I was checking my accounts and I was looking at my budget and trying to make sure that I had enough money to pay off that credit card. And there was always something that was like, it nagged me like a hungry child. No joke. It was just like always on my mind. Now we have money to do the things that we really want to do. Like actually, we're saving for a Machu Picchu hiking trip. My wife and I were super excited about it because of Qube. It creates that intention for us. In fact, I'll even show you. Here he is. Machu Picchu right there, and shows you our progress. Whoops, there it is. But it shows progress on what we're doing towards that, and it gives us that clarity of what we're doing.
Well, what I love about this is, let's think about it. You're a business owner, and you pay yourself $10,000 a month. That $10,000 a month can go into your Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, TD account, whatever it is. You link it to the Qube app, and through that Qube app, you allocate each one of those dollars down to what you're going to spend. So you've got a certain amount for Starbucks, you've got a certain amount for grocery, certain amount for gas, and then you actually start to pay attention when you're opening that envelope, like people used to do, and you pull that money out. You go, oh, you know what? I only have $100, $200, $300 left in this envelope for the month. Let me just be conscious, because most people say there's 10,000 in the bank, pay my mortgage, pay my car, pay my insurance, pay the food. And then, maybe I could spend a little extra here, or I could go buy this shirt here, or I could do X, Y, and Z. And typically you're buying things outside of the purview of what are needed. So
That's
what
right.
I love about
really
this,
know what's needed, right?
yeah,
Really,
yes.
we don't really know, and so we're just kind of. I think I'm okay, but yeah, that's exactly right.
It's unique to me because I remember as a kid, like my grandmother would be like, put money in your savings account, for a rainy day. And then you hear in business, you should have depending on what type of business where you are, 6 to 12 months of reserves in the bank in case anything happens, sales slow down, there's an issue, within the economy or whatever, so you can keep the business running and alive. The savings is great, but being able to budget to say, all right, I know I spend $1,000 a month on groceries. Then it takes a lot of pressure off of you, because if you find yourself in week 3 and you've already spent that 1,000, you can go, wait, has meat gotten more expensive? Am I not being smart about my purchases when I go to the grocery store? Do I need to reel things in terms of my spending? Because we don't look at it that way. You just use that freaking card and you keep moving. And I've been so guilty of this for decades myself, that being aware and going back, because now you're actually you're forced to take responsibility for your finances with an app like this, because you have a very strict amount within each one of those envelopes that you create yourself, and you can change that you have to spend.
That's exactly right. And the cool thing is once you at first you're like, oh, that's so restrictive. Actually, it's so empowering. It's so like, I know exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if you're working with money with a partner, you can get totally on the same page and moving in a direction that's so powerful together. Like being able to work with somebody else and be joined in working towards your goals is 5-10 times as powerful when you're unified. And it does that. It totally does that. Jared, can I actually share one other thing that I think is super powerful? In my journey, my income went like this. Okay. And so it was hard. I mean, yeah, great. $10,000 a month. But then December happened and it was a really hard time to close business. And so January, I didn't have $10,000. And so my plan just went, it was oblivion. But here's the thing about Qube too, is we actually have a planning screen that allows you to prioritize, okay, these categories are the most important and I want them funded first. And it also allows you to, at any moment, adjust what you want your plan to be. And so that it can adjust with your income very, very easily and very, very simply. So I don't feel like oh no, we're not going to make it because I only made $5,000 this month. And I do want to also say, Jared, that Qube Money is literally a banking account. We do have a sponsor bank that is hold the FDIC insurance and is the charter, but you can direct deposit your money. Like as a business owner, I direct deposit my money directly into Qube. So I do have another bank because I like to have a brick and mortar for certain things, but it makes it so it totally is turnkey for me.
This to me takes away a lot of the stress of personal financial management. It allows you to budget. It allows you to police your money. You're getting instant feedback. And that has shifted the way that we look at money. Because here's the thing, and you said this to me before in one of our other conversations, that we don't touch, feel, have a physical connection to money. And they always say, you listen to the gurus out there, whether it's Bob Proctor or Earl Nightingale and, Jim Rohn, money is energy. Okay. But when you have physical money, you actually feel that physical energy of, oh, you know what? I just picked up $100 out of my wallet and I'm going to hand it to somebody. It's tactile. Then you get your $23.75 in change back after you've bought that lunch. and you still have that physical, okay, I have $23 left. With a credit card, you don't have that relationship. How is Qube now replacing the idea of just on a whim using a credit card, but getting back to that more tactile relationship to money?
It's a really good point, because that's very powerful. So what we've done to do that, Jared, is the category balance to load the card. And so what that does is it says, okay, I have $100 left this month for pet food. You know what I mean? That's how much I have. Or for my pets, I'm not going to buy this toy because I know that we have to buy this food for them. And so by touching that, it creates that same recognition. This is real money, and this is what I have for that purpose. So in this moment, is this the best decision? And so it creates that awareness that you need to, when you're making spending decisions, that same tactile feeling.
That is, wow. You know, I've been doing, especially as an entrepreneur and a business owner, and now taking on what we're doing with 0 to 100 and the financial education that I'm getting. And trust me, I thought I really knew a lot about finance and finance management, but speaking with experts like you is upping my game majorly on a weekly basis. And I'm almost angry that this didn't exist before, because we're all told the budget. And again, we'll use the 10,000 as the example. You got 10,000, you pay your rent, your car, your insurance, your food, your gas, and then you've got extra. But at no point in time are you within that process. Even if you check your balance, you go, great, I got $6,000 left. I got $4,000 left. There's still, I have a bucket of $4,000. And then around that bucket, I have 25 different things that I'm going to do that month. And then you're pulling from that bucket. But you might double up on something and not pay attention to it, or triple up on something and not pay attention to it, or spend outside of what you need to spend. This brings everything into one place and forces you to be responsible. This is probably one of the cooler and beneficial technologies and applications that I've been aware of in the fintech world in quite some time.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. I think we got to talk a little bit about bills, because everything I've talked about has to do with discretionary spending and tapping that to load the card, right? But with bills, you want those to happen automatically. You don't know when they're going to auto draft that from your account. So, but you also want to make sure, okay, this money, my mortgage is covered, my power bill is covered, my phone bill is covered. And so what we've done in the technology is each time you create a category for bills, it creates its own unique account number, virtual account number, and own unique virtual card. So now you can allocate funds for your phone bill, for your power bill, your water bill, your mortgage, and each one of those categories has its own unique account number and card number that you can give to the provider or the vendor that's providing that service for you. And now they can auto draft that anytime, because they're always on, but you can turn them off if you ever don't want them to charge you, one. And two, if they ever have a data breach, it only affects that one category, not your entire account. And so it keeps you super safe and protected. So now you have the organization. I know I'm not spending my mortgage. I know I'm not spending my power bill. I know I'm not spending the money for my phone bill, because that's separate. That's already accounted for. And I have the money, the real money in those categories. So now I'm free to spend this other money because I have awareness. I have a plan. Yeah.
So each one of your envelopes or each one of your accounts, that's the automated accounts, at least for the auto debit, they have their own individual numbers. Talk to me, because first of all, it sounds like a ton to manage. It sounds like you're going to have to go, and whether it is for your rent or your mortgage or your car insurance or your electric, which is already drawn out, you have to change and update that number and that information. It sounds like a lot to manage, number one. And number two, you mentioned a little bit about security. I'd love for you to dive into how you are securing the accounts if you've got 25 different bills and 25 different credit cards or account numbers.
So that security is created, like our system was built with security in mind first. That's really important. Okay. So when you build an infrastructure that's security first and you're not trying to bolt that on later, that is 75% of the battle. But then you create like really high encryption levels. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there because that's private information, but we take security extremely serious. And that's why the card is default zero. That is why that each one of those categories has its own account number and so forth. But let me talk a little bit about like a lot to manage. Okay, so ultimately what I've done is I have simplified my life by making Qube Money my primary bank. I actually, for my personal, I don't use credit cards anymore because I found that chasing rewards actually causes me to overspend a lot more than I ever earned in rewards. Actually, 10 to 20 times the amount that I ever made in any rewards. So I just made that decision. And I also say kind of one other caveat on that, Jared. Think about who is actually paying for my plane ticket if I earn that plane ticket through rewards.
I mean,
And
technically,
well, it's that interchange. It's that 3% that they get paid. And actually, I'm in the payment space. There's not enough money to create a profitable business from just that amount.
Yep.
So ultimately, what is it? You can go ahead and say.
It's the merchant who at the end of the day is really paying for your rewards, but you're still paying for the product or the service. So you're paying for it. At the end of the day, you're actually paying to get those rewards.
That's actually what I used to think too. But there's not enough money in that interchange to make a profitable business from personal experience. It's actually the single mom that's struggling and carrying a $10,000 balance and paying 25% interest. That's who paid my plane ticket. And I actually have a really moral issue with that today. I don't with the business. And on a business side, I mean, we're making decisions and there's commercial credit cards and there's personal credit cards. On the personal side, I'm telling you, it's the single mom that's struggling to get by that's paying for my plane ticket.
That makes sense because if you look at it that way, and it's funny because as you know, I'm in the payments business also, and it's not even how I look at it from somebody who's been in business for quite some time. But if you think about it, it's the high balance, high interest card holders who typically don't have really high level rewards programs that are paying for that. And that's, by the way, let's be very clear. That's the majority of card holders in the US. I don't know about the rest of the world, but that's the majority of the card holders in the US.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. And you're right. I didn't think about it that way.
I didn't either until I started Qube Money and I really understood how the merchant fees worked and how much they were and how much Visa kept. And I'm like, oh, wow. I always thought that was paying my rewards, but it's not.
Well, you know, it's funny. Do you look at a Visa and a MasterCard? They're actually in the data game now. They make more money on data than they do on interchange because interchange, here's the kicker with interchange. Interchange, the majority of that money, of that 3%, actually is going to the issuing bank, the card issuing bank, so Wells Fargo. But Wells Fargo is not Visa. Visa is the card brand. So the acquiring bank, which is the merchant's bank, who accepts the payment for the merchant and holds that until it's transferred to the merchant's actual business account. Then you've got the processor and you've got the credit card networks who are getting paid as well. But the processor and the credit card networks are getting paid less than the issuing bank and the merchant's bank who's holding the money. So it makes sense now that you say that Visa is not really, or MasterCard is not really paying for those rewards. American Express is different. It's also at a different stratosphere. It's a very different consumer base. You know, they are a bank within themselves, and now that money basically comes into them because it's American Express. But your other standard cards, that makes sense because you've got...
And the private bank, those are the ones that are paying for the rewards.
Yeah.
And that interchange isn't enough to pay for the rewards. That covers the cost of being able to process and there's cost that technology requires to run. So it's the interest that pays for the rewards. You're right.
So your card actually works as a debit card, correct?
It does, but I mean, you could use it like swipe as a credit. Like any debit card, you can either put in your PIN or do a non-PIN transaction, which is the same as a credit, but it's all backed by real money. So it creates that reality of, oh, this is what money I have and this is what I'm spending. And it creates that connection to your money.
So let's say that you are a consumer and you start using Qube, you're budgeting through Qube, and you're seeing a lot of success in that. How does, and this is more so a mindset thing. This isn't technically like, you know, perfect financial numbers on a spreadsheet. How have you seen that some of the users' mindset around money, savings, making large purchases, or being able to invest in other things outside of what their budget requires. How has that changed their lives where they've seen growth in other aspects financially?
Well, just go to the App Store and look at the reviews, Jared. And they're like, for the first time in my life, I'm saving. For the first time in my life, I'm 2 months ahead. And so what the journey we see, let me actually just kind of take you through a customer journey. So coming in, you're right. Setting up a good plan and a good system does take some time. Okay. Same thing with your business. Think about when you started your business. When you set up your banking system, you set up your accounting system, it takes effort. But if you don't ever put forth that effort, your business is completely out of control. You won't be in business very long. Right?
Yes.
And so coming into Qube and setting up a system that actually is successful, it actually takes a few months, not to set it up, but just to figure out, okay, this is how I feel comfortable with money. This is how much I want for these different categories. And this is what I want my life to feel like with money. Okay. So it takes a little adjusting as you start out. And what I would suggest is just when you come into Qube, start with just 3 or 4 discretionary spending categories. Manage those in Qube, understand the methodology, experience the technology, and you're like, if you love it, then you'll say, wow, I'm going to bring in all my bills. I'm going to make Qube Money my primary banking solution. But that's what I would suggest doing. Just start out with a few discretionary spending. Then you can add a couple of subscriptions to watch how it manages those subscriptions for you. And if you love it, you can bring everything in. Okay. And then what you'll find as you come in is that you'll actually have awareness of your money. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I actually don't care about a coffee every day. I'm okay with a coffee a week. And that's going to save you $25. And you're going to have more of that money going to things like a trip that you really want to do, or you have a hobby that you really want to get into, and you'll have way more money for the things that you want. And you'll start to get 1 month ahead, and then 2 months ahead, and then 3 months ahead. And now you're going to be able to make some really good decisions. Like, you know what? I actually can get rid of all my debt in the next 5 months. And that's going to free up another $1,000 a month that I can then put towards my retirement savings.
Yes.
And in Qube, I really highly recommend that you just set up a system where you put away 20% for long-term savings, retirement savings. And that 20% should first go to an emergency fund. Build up a $2,500 emergency fund because emergencies happen. And if you have that fund, it won't take you off your plan. After you have a $2,500 emergency fund, use that 20% to pay off all your non-secured debts because you're not making nearly as much money in the markets as you're paying interest on those debts, on non-secured debts. So get rid of those, and it will free up, for most people, $500 to $2,000 a month. Now they have 20% plus that additional $500 to $2,000 that they can begin either stockpile for retirement, or they can say, hey, I'm going to take that $2,000 I was paying on debt, and the 20% is going to continue to go to save for retirement, right? Now I can move to retirement, but I'm going to take that $2,000 and start living the life that I really want. And I'm going to save for that trip to Europe. I'm going to save for that trip to Macedonia. I'm going to actually save for that surfboard that I want, right? And now they start having money to do. Today, we actually reserve $1,500 a month for fun, for family fun, for things that we want to do. And we never had that money before. It was always being spent on who knows what. But now we don't have any debt. We have money to do the things we love to do, and we're saving 25% of our money for retirement. So that's taken care of too. And it's just super cool. We are ready and prepared. Like our money is doing what we want it to do now, Jared. So it's kind of it's a process. First of all, emergency fund. Then they start paying off their debt. That frees up more money, and then they really are able to stockpile for retirement and have money for what they really want. And over a 1 to 2 year period, their complete financial life will transform because they have a plan and they're following it.
I absolutely love it. So what's great about this and why it's and why I really was excited to have you on is this is so important for our business owners. You already have the stress of being an entrepreneur and a business owner and running a business. Compounding that personal stress really can be, personal financial stress really can be that linchpin that makes everything crumble down. So having something like this is your ultimate advocate. This is beyond any financial advisor, any banker, anyone in the finance world who's on your team, because this program does something that none of them do, nor did they even, because we're not conditioned to it, know to offer you. So as a business owner, you can take that personal financial stress away, which gives you financial certainty to be able to build and get to the next level in your business and your personal life.
Jared, I can't tell you how true that is. I mean, from
Awesome.
personal experience, when I started Qube, I didn't have it. So we were still doing like what most people are doing. And I was checking my accounts and calculating my income 2 or 3 times a day, thinking about, are we going to be okay? Are we going to be okay? And actually, by having everything in Qube now, I have none of that stress. It's so simple. I set it up and it took me time to set it up. But once I got it set up, it's a turnkey planning system in my pocket. And instead of paying a coach, $300, $400 a month for that advice, I pay Qube Money $12 a month, and it does a much better job. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a coach, because sometimes you need that accountability, and then they'll help you set up your plan. But long-term, Qube Money has created that certainty like you're talking about. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's real.
So Shane, before we wrap today, we're going to go into our rapid fire section, which this is always a very fun part to learn a little bit about you and your nuances. So let's dive in, and then you'll tell everybody where they can connect with you. So first question for you, coffee or tea?
Neither. I just drink water. Seriously. I don't like you.
God bless you. You know, funny, I'm not a coffee guy just because it gives me acid reflux, but I'm a tea guy. At night, I drink peppermint and dandelion tea, and I'm not lying. It helps me sleep way better every night before bed.
That's awesome. Super awesome. Super healthy too.
Super healthy.
Yeah.
So rabbit or turtle?
Rabbit. I like this. I should be more turtle, and I admire people that are, but man, Fast and Furious is what I do.
Awesome. Okay, so what is one of your number one books that you would recommend the audience of business owners and entrepreneurs read, and in particular in your world, to help with financial management? Atomic Habit.
Yes. Clear. It's like a phenomenal book. And Extreme Ownership is also like super powerful book.
Yes.
If you're running a company, both those books I really love.
Yes, I've read both of them. They're amazing. I actually, it's funny. I need to go back and do my Sunday book review on Extreme Ownership, but I've done one on James Clear's Atomic Habits, and that is one of those amazing, amazing books. Yeah. So if you were going to have dinner this evening and you had the option to pick one individual, past or present, that you would have dinner with, who would that individual be and why?
Without question, my wife, Carissa. We've been married for 24 years, and she is like my best friend. And
awesome.
We
brother.
have a lot of fun together, and we have 8 children. I know that's crazy.
That's awesome.
But so life is super busy. And so when I get like one-on-one time with her, it's super, super cool. So
I love that. Great answer. So what is one thing in your industry right now that you disagree with?
The reward system on individual credit cards. Like that, we talked about that, but I really, really disagree with that. The other one is the tracking budgeting tools. They don't work. They don't work. Like for the majorities, if you're already good with money, it's a nice thing to kind of know where your money went, because you don't need something to change your spending behavior. But even those people, when they start to be intentional about what their money's doing and their spending, it creates more opportunities to do the things that are most important to them. Giving to the charities, going on those trips, it really does. So the whole tracking environment, it does not work. And actually, it's a pet peeve of mine.
Gotcha. So what are 3 money-saving tips that you would give our audience of business owners to do in 2025?
Okay. So the first thing that I would do is I would automate 20% of your income to exactly what I said. Emergency fund first, pay off debt, and then stockpile money in a safe money place that stays liquid for your year's salary. It will completely change the way you feel and experience money because you have liquid money. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing that I would do is I would find a charity that you're passionate about and I would start giving money. The more you give, the wealthiest people in the world give the most. And they did before they were wealthy. You're either a master of money or money is master of you. When you give, you become a master of money. And it's a great thing to be a master of. It's a horrible master. Okay?
Right.
So no question about it. And then the third thing is money is a tool to create joy. So find something that you want to do and start getting laser focused about saving money for that thing. It's super fun. Like money is meant to be spent. You don't want to be a Scrooge and save everything for the future because then you miss out on so much today. Like there's beautiful memories that happen today. So spend it to make those memories. Just be intentional about it. So those are the 3 things I would say. Sure.
Awesome. Who would you say are the 2 most important people in your life who have helped you get to the level of success in your business today?
That's super easy. The first is my dad. So it's so interesting, Jared. My dad never has had more than $30,000 in the bank. So as far as he was a teacher, we did not have very much money, but he was an amazing dad that taught me to work from a very young age and taught me to learn to love to work and taught me how to treat people and be honest with them. And he has totally created a mindset of goodness and happiness. He's amazing. And then the other person is a mentor. His name is Don Garrison. He's actually in his 80s, but he really taught me how to work with people and always do the right thing. Look at from their point of view and help them get what they want, and you'll get what you want. And he was a living example. And I talked to him like through a period of my career 2 or 3 times a week, just realigning on some principles. He also taught me a lot about the art of convincing, which is super powerful, like the fear of loss and urgency and just how to create that within people's minds so that they move. Because your team has to move with you. You can't do everything on your own. You have to have a team moving in the same direction. He really taught me some powerful skills in that area. So
awesome. Shane Walker, it was absolutely amazing. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they can connect with you if they'd like to connect with you. And I also believe you have a little special offer for the audience.
I do. And you're going to have to remind me of the discount code. But as far as connecting with me, the best way to do that is probably on LinkedIn, Shane Walker, Qube Money, because there's so much going on. And then as far as connecting with Qube Money, QubeMoney.com, that spells Qube money.com, and come and visit us and see what this is all about. If you're interested in trying out a Qube Money account, you can get a 60-day free trial with Jared by using, what's the discount code, Jared?
The discount code is Z2A100. So that's Z as in zebra, the number 2, A as in apple, 100, Z to 100.
So
that is your discount
code.
code.
Use that code and you get 2 months for free. And I invite you to come and experience the peace, joy, and freedom that can come with money by building a plan and following that plan.
Beautiful. Shane Walker, again, thank you so much for joining us. You gave the audience something truly tangible that they can sign up for and start budgeting and have and get to that place of financial certainty that I know as business owners we're all looking for. Thank you for joining us on 0 to 100.
Jared, thank you. It's been super awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to 0 to 100 podcast. We hope you feel inspired and ready to accelerate your business. Remember, your journey to success starts with a single step. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for greatness. For more resources and show notes, visit jaredguyrandolph.com. We'll see you next time.